Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we are going over 4 great decks, including 2 with the new card Konshu, and giving you my day 1 impressions of that card. However, we've got a top 20 deck that no one else has that we've got to kick this video off with. The second deck will be the thumbnail deck if you're looking for the Konshu deck, but this Scream Connoisseur deck, actually, that's the player of the deck's screen name. This Scream Connoisseur deck is absolutely brilliant right now. It absolutely wrecks about 3/4 of the meta. It can have trouble, I guess, into Khonshu stuff, but if that's not your whole meta, you're going to have a blast with this. This has so many good matchups. Plus, you get to play Uncle Ben, who doesn't love that. So, this deck absolutely needs Scream. You cannot play without Scream. Uncle Ben can be Nova, you're running Killmonger, and you're running Lady Deathstrike as cards. So if you have Nova, you'll be fine. Uncle Ben is better because Uncle Ben has extra synergy with Scream, in that when you destroy it, Spider-Man pops out, and that will trigger your Scream. Copycat and Rocket and Groot are just best threes in slot. We're thinking Juggernaut, Red Guardian, whatever the best threes you happen to own are. Iron Patriot and Sam are great, but Craven and Lizard are fine. Sam is actually more important in this list than Iron Patriot, though Iron Patriot remains a very, very strong card. Okay, let's go card by card. So Uncle Ben is here. 1/2 is a perfectly fine stat line. If you never destroy a 1/2, you're fine to play it. That's a decent number of cards in Marvel Snap where you just like drop an Iceman and you have a 1/2. If you do destroy it, however, for your 1 energy, you get 4 stats and disruption on the opponent. You get a Spider-Man that moves the opponent's card. This can make your Miles Morales cost 1, and this can give your Scream a -2/+2 buff. Those cards are enough of a reason to run Uncle Ben in this version because you're already running Lady Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike is here because we're seeing a ton of fire here. We're seeing a ton of Iron Patriot. We're seeing a ton of Sam Wilson. We're seeing a ton of 3 power cards all over the meta. Luke Cage is very annoying for this list. Lady Deathstrike says, I don't care about any of that. I'm just going to eat those cards. Let's go. Scream is one of the very best cards in Marvel Snap. It remains the highest win rate deck in the game if you sort stats. Basically, as soon as the meta settles, Scream rises to the top. The Scream rises to the top. Hey, that should be the thumbnail name. But Scream ends up an absolutely incredible and ridiculous card. It has a Mr. Negative-esque win rate. The win rate in this card absolutely refuses to go down. It's, I think this is the best deck in Marvel Snap. I don't know what else to say. There's a lot of great decks, but if I had to pick one deck that I was just like gonna grind and climb with, it'd be Scream, followed closely by Surfer and the Season Pass Agamotto thing. I think Scream is that good. Iron Patriot is a snap condition. We're going to talk about Iron Patriot multiple times in this video, so let's just say this once up front. Iron Patriot, it's a snap condition. If you win the Iron Patriot location and get the discount, and obviously assuming your opponent doesn't have Mobius, your Iron Patriot is a snap condition. You get that discount, you should snap. Your opponent should, if they are good, run unless they have the absolute bomb hand. So keep that in mind for Iron Patriot. He is a very early snap condition. Sam Wilson plays as a 2/8. You play Sam on turn 2 or turn 3. That's a 2/8. That's obviously insane power. Sam gets to a 2/7 when the shield moves to him twice. The third time uh, doesn't happen, right? But that's still 5 to 7, and then you have the power on the shield. That is 2/8 in power. There's nothing in Marvel Snap that gives you that kind of simple power for a 2-drop. That's why Sam is so freaking good, even if this version of the deck doesn't run Craven. Although his shield moving will trigger Miles Morales. Spider-Man does the same thing as Uncle Ben here, so we can sort of move on from that. Spider-Man is also a very good play on turn 4 with Iron Patriot in particular, where you pick a lane to Iron Patriot and then you Spider-Man. You can either clog the opponent or you can move an important card off the lane you're trying to Iron Patriot, and then you can follow that up with cards like Stegron and Miles Morales for a lot of power. So Spider-Man on turn 4 is an incredible play in particular, even if you don't really want to play him on turn 2. Killmonger is here largely for Uncle Ben, but we're seeing, thanks to Firehair, an awful lot of 1-drops, an awful lot of demons. Victoria Hand is still floating around. We've still got occasional bounce move for Human Torch. Killmonger as a surprise in this list, although it's less of a surprise when you play Uncle Ben, is incredibly, incredibly strong. Rocket and Groot is one of the 10 best cards in Marvel Snap, probably one of the 5 best cards in Marvel Snap. It's the best 3-drop. If we're impressed that Sam plays as a 2/8, right? Rocket and Groot with 2 triggers is playing as a 3/7, but you're almost always going to, if you're able to move him wisely, turn him into a 3/9, 3/11. He is absolutely huge and crazy, crazy disruptive, an absolute lane stealer, and one of the best cards to play after Iron Patriot. Copycat could be anything. The meta is filled with good stuff cards, and because the meta is so filled with good stuff cards right now, Copycat is an incredibly powerful card. You don't love Copycat as much as you did yesterday, thanks to the like Khonshu thing, but overall, you're still fairly likely to get a really good Agamotto spell or an extra Iron Patriot or whatever, a Shang-Chi, an Iron Man, whatever powerful card your opponent happens to have. Polaris is the easy and obvious follow-up to Scream. You play Scream, then you play Polaris. You've now discounted your miles, and you've gotten a -2/+2 for Scream. It's the easiest play in the world. Polaris and Stegron also offer you a sort of mini clog package. Rocket and Groot actually helps with that by helping you force the opponent to avoid playing in certain places. But if you can use Polaris and Stegron to clog an opponent, that's an easy snap condition. 1/6 is a lot, so Miles is here. You have Uncle Ben, you have Sam Wilson Shield, Spider Man, Polaris, Rocket and Groot, and Stegron. 6 ways to move for Miles. He's almost always going to be a 1/6. That's incredible. 4/7 remains the breakpoint of stats. 4/6 is whatever and not worth commenting on, while 4/7 is great stats. Stegron is a 4/7. That also obviously triggers Scream and helps with that mini clog package. And then finally, the only cards in this list you're really likely to hit with that Lady Death Strike are Iron Patriot, and at that point, Iron Patriot should have done what he does, and Killmonger, and you very rarely play both Killmonger and Lady Death Strike in the same game. So Lady Death Strike is this incredibly powerful thing that can really ruin opponents, but doesn't often affect you in any sort of negative way. In fact, you get benefit from it from running Uncle Ben. All right, so this is currently the rank 19 deck on the Infinite leaderboard. It's got a 60% win rate at very high Infinite. That's hugely impressive. Turn 1, you one-drop Ben. Turn 2 is Scream over Iron Patriot over Sam. And quick note on the key here. White means that this is a snap condition almost always, while green means this is a conditional snap condition should things go right. Turn 3, Polaris or Rocket and Groot over Copycat. If you played Iron Patriot, you would generally prefer Rocket and Groot, assuming you have Prio. If you played Scream, you would generally prefer Polaris. And Copycat could be anything, so it's really hard to predict. You can also feel free to drop Sam here because Sam on turn 3 is still 7 power. Turn 4, 2/2 is generally my goal. I'd like to get Scream down on 2, but if I got Iron Patriot because I thought I could win it, that's fine. Then I will do Scream and Spidey on turn 4, or Spidey and Iron Patriot on turn 4 if humanly possible. That's better than Stegron as a general rule. Stegron is only goes up here if you've got that clog condition with Polaris, and at that point we are looking at a snap condition. Again, a clog is a snap over 3+ Miles or 3+ Ben. Those are perfectly fine plays, especially that 3+ Ben if you know at this point you're going to Lady Deathstrike or Killmonger. Turn 5, your goal is to stagger on 1 after that 2/2 on turn 4. You can also play Lady Deathstrike here. Turn 6 is whatever else you have. If you went stagger on 1, Lady Death Strike, and a different one is perfectly fine here. So it's just playing some cheaper stuff. A really strong Copycat is very good here with, say, a Polaris, for example. And then you should be able to win. This is one of the very best decks in Marvel Snap, and one I cannot urge you enough to play. We are also giving away a season pass this week. We're giving away an Agamotto. So if you'd like to win an Agamotto, do a sub, like, and then later this video, you're going to leave a comment. That comment will enter you to win Agamotto. And fair warning, the comment that you're to leave is not written down. It is something I'm going to say verbally. Please hit that sub, like, and comment if you're willing to. We give you the most Marvel Snap content of anyone. We did 2 videos Monday. We're doing 2 videos Thursday. We are doing 2 videos, I think, on Saturday. We cover Marvel Snap extraordinarily thoroughly. If you want the most decks, the most new information on Marvel Snap in order to stay ahead of the meta, we get exclusive decks like no one else. Hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment. Help us hit 25,000 subs in 2025. All right, Konshu. So I'm not going to reread Konshu. Konshu is a 6/5 Series 5. He's in Spotlight Caches. If you want the full breakdown of Konshu, please check yesterday's video. Konshu has thus far actually impressed me. I watched a lot of streams and I was like, Konshu is not very good. I don't think the sort of Konshu Iron Man Gore decks are amazing. I have one version of that I sort of like, but I don't think those decks are amazing. I do think, however, that Khonshu makes hella a real deck. The deck we featured yesterday, I played that and felt very, very good. My losses were largely because Jubilee decided she hated me and would only ever go in lanes where she filled things instead of lanes where she could trigger and fill things. I think that Khonshu probably brings hella back. That deck yesterday is great. Check out yesterday's video or Marvel Snap Zone for an article on it. In addition, though, this next deck that we're going to talk about felt incredibly strong. The standard Apocalypse discard, although I'm running it a little different, felt like it had more power and more cube equity than ever before. I think that Konshu is going to be a very good card if you are into discard. I don't think this is going to end up a good stuff card down the line. I reserve the right to be wrong. It's day one, right? This isn't me telling you to buy it. This is me telling you I'm positive on it at this point. We'll get top player thoughts tomorrow, and then we'll get my thoughts with some data on Friday. But for the time being, my opinion on this card in Apocalypse and hell, an actual discard, is that it's a very good card. I don't think a discard package is necessarily really there yet, although we will have a second Khonshu deck after the first one that does something more similar to a just little discard package. So the Khonshu Apocalypse is a deck I won 70% of my games with. I went 7-3 with this. It felt incredibly good. We do have more stats than that for you. I'm not just telling you 7-3. This deck's incredible. But I played a lot of discard. Discard is one of my like 5 favorite archetypes in Marvel Snap. I didn't realize that until fairly recently, but I have had a really good time with discard. I hopped into Unfit Parrot stream and saw him playing this, and all of a sudden I was like, well, I want Malekith in it over Swarm for one. But this list looks like it feels really good, and it does. It puts up absolutely crazy power. This is able to get like genuinely huge in multiple spots um thanks to Konshu. This card gets really big no matter what, right? Like your Apocalypse lane is often in the 30s. It's often like this very, very hard to compete with lane. What fundamentally Konshu is doing is saying, let's get really big in another spot too. Let's have a 12, let's have a couple 12s that we can play in addition. And sometimes that 12 is Dracula or Morbius, and you're really going to town. You can find the creator of this deck at youtube.com/unfitparrot. This deck needs Corvus and Khonshu, or you could just run the regular version of discard, which runs Scorn and Strong Guy in a couple of these spots. You can check. I've covered that video like 10 times, so feel free to play that if you prefer. Malekith can be either Scorn or Swarm if you are so inclined. I think Scorn might be really good here, but but I did not like Swarm. But hey, Swarm worked perfectly fine for the parrot. So hey, what do I know, right? Like we're still dealing with the like final spots of this deck. So very simply, Blade is here because Blade is one of the easiest target discards in the game. You can use it for Apocalypse, you can use it for Proxima, but what you're really trying to use it for is Khonshu. If you can hit Khonshu a couple times, he's so much stats, it's wild. Morbius is just too keyword big. Morbius that gets hit with a Khonshu is insanely big, but you also have more discard than you usually do in a discard list with this because you're running Gambit and Moon Knight and Corvus and MODOK. So if you can get extra discards going, then your Morbius is getting even bigger than usual. Plus, it's something that can be brought back by Khonshu or be stuck under Malekith. Gambit is just your I Steal Wins card. That's basically all it says. It says I can steal wins. I trigger win steals like nothing else, and thus Gambit's incredibly strong. Moon Knight is dangerous to some extent here. Moon Knight can hit Morbius. It can hit Malekith. It can hit Dracula. It can, but you want it to hit Proxima, Khonshu, or Apocalypse. I will play Moon Knight if I have no other discard, but generally speaking, I'm trying to play Moon Knight a little later and not really worrying about it. Moon Knight gives you fundamentally that extra card. If you when you don't see MODOK, Moon Knight gives you that extra card that you're gonna bring back with Khonshu without too much trouble. Corvus Glaive is amazing here. So Corvus Glaive, if I could figure out how to see Corvus Glaive a little bit more often, I would 1,000% be running Scorn here because Scorn is incredible. Scorn's one of the best discard cards in the game. But what was happening with Scorn in the list when Parrot was playing it was that you would get to turn 6 and you would have Apocalypse, Khonshu, and Scorn in hand. And then you'd want to play Khonshu. And if you didn't have Apocalypse, that Scorn would be stuck in hand. And that's pretty bad for your Dracula. I do really want that Scorn. Scorn would be the one card I'd add. And if I could get Corvus a little more often, or maybe I just have to suck it up and add Scorn over something, probably over Moon Knight. But Corvus is absolutely incredible. You don't worry about what you discard because having that extra energy is insane. Because if you can Khonshu on turn 5 and then MODOK on turn 6, you're just going to frickin' town. You go Corvus Glaive into Dracula, into Khonshu, into Apocalypse or MODOK, and you're just done. You've won the game. You put out stupid, stupid power. Lady Sif hits Khonshu or Apocalypse. That's good. Lady Sif is in all the Khonshu decks. Dracula is stupidly huge. I've had Dracula come back with Khonshu, and let's just say that lane is one. It's like a 50 power lane. Just enjoy yourself. Malekith is amazing. It gives you an extra discard at the end. Those extra discards really, really do help with Morbius. They really, really do help get that Apocalypse up to an unbeatable amount, and that's incredible. The targets here, like the smallest you're going to have a Malekith be is a 4/9, which is still well ahead of rate. If you get a Morbius, you're getting like a 4/20 off out of that play. Uh, Again, Moon Knight could potentially go here, but everything else here is so freaking good and so freaking strong, consistent. You should have very little trouble winning a lot of games of Snap. Proxima 07 is good. Free stats are good. That's it. Nothing complicated. If you don't have Proxima, I guess it's another spot scoring could run. MODOK, now Series 3. I don't have to do replacements. MODOK is, as always, the key to every discard deck. I don't care that Khonshu and Apocalypse and Dracula are here. MODOK is the key. If you get MODOK, everything else sort of works together. Yes, you have a chance of gambiting or Corvusing off MODOK, but so be it. You're willing to risk it, particularly risk it with Corvus. I'm a little more careful with my gambit, but I'm particularly willing to risk that with Corvus because then I can try and Khonshu, and if I can Khonshu and hit MODOK, then I have a 20 power MODOK, and then I have a stupidly big Apocalypse to just drop on the last turn. That is really, really good. So there's a lot of stuff like that to do. MODOK on the last turn is also playable with a Morbius, which is amazing thanks to Corvus Glaive. Khonshu is Khonshu. We sort of established what he does. His 5 power form is not very good here, but given the amount of power you have, it should almost never be a 5 power form. You're almost always getting at least 8. And let me just say, an 8 power Malekith is surprisingly effective. There are not the broken hits like Iron Man or Gore here, but this is already a deck that puts up as much power as anything, and being able to say, no, 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 we go even taller now is very cool. And then Apocalypse just remains super huge. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 discarders, 6 discarders in this list. 6 discarders means Apocalypse can get ungodly big, and sometimes you just play him because he's so ungodly big. Perfectly acceptable. All right, so I went 7-3, while Parrot went 13-7. That is a 20-10, 66%. I went 70%. So this list is genuinely legit at high infinite. Turn 1, you want Blade of Khonshu. Turn 2, Morbius over 1. Turn 3, Corvus, and Corvus is fairly often a snap. You can also snap after Corvus because it scares the crap out of people and they're often going to run. Corvus is equal to Lady Sif. If you like have Dracula and MODOK in hand. Perhaps you just want a Lady Sif over Moon Knight over Gambit. If you have Konshu, though, you're almost always Corvusing at this point. Turn 4, if you can drop a MODOK and you have Konshu, and if you don't have Dracula or Morbius or one of those is out, and you do have Konshu and Apocalypse in hand, please MODOK. Or you can drop Dracula, or you can drop Malekith. I tend to play Malekith before Dracula, although, again, if I've played Corvus, that changes my math here. Turn 5, Konshu or Dracula, and then turn 6, Konshu or MODOK and Morbius, or Dracula or a huge Apocalypse. If Dracula is going to hit a huge Apocalypse, that's often a snap. If Konshu is only going to get one of 2 like key cards, that's a snap. If MODOK and Morbius are going to be played, and I already have a Konshu and big card out, that's usually a snap. That's how this works. You put up, again, absolutely insane power. This is a power beast of a deck that's really hard to interact with because it's fairly Shang resistant. Check it out, give it a play. I am very in love with the Khonshu Apocalypse. I think that this is going to be a meta list that people should absolutely be playing. Let me know how you like it in the comments, by the way. Hey, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. I am going live every day for the rest of this week. Check out today. It is Wednesday at 3:15 p.m. I should be live playing some Snap. Tomorrow at 8:30, we'll be recording the podcast live after the OTA, and we still have 2 videos going live on Thursday. And then Friday at 3:15 again, because my wife wanted to do something in the evening. So let's get that stream done at 3:15. Saturday, I'm not 100% sure what time, but I should be live because it's going to depend on whether my son is busy during the day or I'm doing it after he goes to bed at night. And then Sunday at 1 p.m. Sunday is the big long stream. Make sure you come check that out. Twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. Our season pass question is not this. Our season pass question is, what are your impressions of Konshu? How have you liked it? What decks have you had success with? What decks have you not liked? Have you played against it and found it impressive or terrible? I think the thing you have to sort of accept if you're going to like this card is a lot of games are going to come down to 50-50s, and mathematically, eventually, those are going to break even. If you stay on those, snap aggressively, you should win more cubes than you lose. Next up, we have Eco Wiccan Semitoxin as we take a quick break from Konshu. This is a very cool list that I just wanted to show you because I've never seen a Wiccan deck that does this, and I thought it was worth taking a look at. This list combines sort of the little toxic anti-venom man thing Luke Cage package with the Eliath Wiccan package, and I think that's a very cool place to be, and Ika had enough success with it to feature. Ika is one of the best deck builders in Marvel Snap. You should check him out on Twitch, please. This deck needs Wiccan and Anti-Venom. Those are the only two you need. Alliath can be Red Hulk, Magneto, or Gore. Man-Thing can be Laufey. You do want that to be Laufey, though. If you're going to change it, you don't want to change it for a different type of card. Rock and Groot, Gladiator, Red Guardian, Copycat, Sam and Iron Patriot, Kate, Penny, Cable, Mirage, and Nico can be Nebula. All right, so Maria Hill is here because she's incredible with Wiccan. I don't know why this doesn't run Kate Bishop. I want Kate Bishop in this list so bad. Every time I look at it, I'm like, where's Kate Bishop? But Maria Hill gives you a 2-drop. That 2-drop says if you don't draw a 2, now you still have your Wiccan curve just from Maria Hill. It's incredible. Nico with the Destroy 2 does much the same thing, where it basically guarantees you a Wiccan curve, makes you far more likely to draw a Wiccan, while also being able to turn something like an Iron Patriot or a Lizard into a Demon is obviously very strong. And then just generally throughout the game, +2 or change location are strong things to do. Zebu in a deck that has 3/4s is incredible. It's the card you want to play on turn 1 because Wiccan on turn 3, Man-Thing, or Anti-Venom on turn 3 are game-winning snap conditions. Iron Patriot remains Iron Patriot in the exact same way it did in the first deck. We're not going to re-explain. Iron Patriot's great. Sam Wilson is great. These are the two of the best cards in Marvel Snap. Iron Patriot, Sam Wilson, Rocket and Groot are 3 of the, at worst, 5 to 10 best cards in Marvel Snap. Check out last week's podcast where we broke them down. They just go in decks because they're insane. You need 2s and 3s because you're trying to get a Wiccan curve, and so you run the best of them. That's what they're here for. Lizard is a little more complicated. Lizard is a 2/6, right? Lizard can encourage your opponent to play in certain locations, which is very strong when you're running Man-Thing because they generally play cheaper things in a location in order to get that to fill it up. That's incredibly strong because you run Luke. Luke can pop that Lizard power back up to 2/6 while also making it immune to Man-Thing, and while the opponent will just get sort of eaten alive by Man-Thing. Luke Cage has 3 uses here. We talked about 2 of them already. It is useful for Lizard. It is useful for Man-Thing. Good. It is also extremely useful for Anti-Venom. Anti-Venom's card, which will have 0 cost, will maintain its power as long as you have Luke Cage, which is an insanely strong place to be. Luke is a little bit OP for that. In addition, he's just really good if the opponent runs Affliction or there's any other negative locations. Rock and Groot's one of the best cards, so he's here. Wiccan is extra energy. Extra energy is huge. You're not running anything really big here, right? I mean, I guess your Man-Thing is pretty big. You're not running anything insanely big. You're not running a ton of tech. So you're just trying to find ways around putting points on the board in ways that your opponent can't really deal with. And Wiccan says that you have so much energy that the opponent will have a really hard time dealing with you. Anti-Venom, we discussed with Luke Cage. There are almost no bad Anti-Venom hits if you have Luke. If you don't have Luke, Anti-Venom can be sort of mediocre, but I mean, if you're going to play Anti-Venom, just make sure you're going to play Luke, right? Find the time, find the energy. Man-Thing is huge. There's a lot of small stuff in the meta. Man-Thing plays basically always as a 4/11, sometimes as a 4/13. That's a ton of power. Man-Thing is incredible. He is the ultimate cube stealer of this list, and I love just seeing him as sort of a generic power card here. And then finally, we finish with Alliath. Alliath says your opponent's nope. This is especially good with Hela and Khonshu all over the place. That's why this deck is actually featured today. You can sort of win one of the lanes where they're trying to play their discarders with Man-Thing, and then if you can figure out their Hela or I keep forgetting the name Khonshu, excuse me. The Hela or Khonshu list, you can just Alliath those off. So this is a 57% win rate with a big cube rate in the top 100. Turn 1, Maria Hill if you need a 2 over Zebu over Nico. And Nico can go right up that list if you can blow something up and draw 2. Turn 2 is Iron Patriot, who remains a snap condition potentially, over Sam over Lizard. Now, turn 3, you would rather play a 4-drop than Rocket and Groot or Luke or 2/1. If you do play a 4-drop on turn 3, it's usually a snap. It's especially a snap if that is Wiccan or Anti-Venom. Rocket and Groot and Luke are fine. You can also drop a 2/1. You have plenty of 1s and plenty of 2s. Remember that turn 3 is the last turn to get full value out of Sam Wilson. Turn 4, Wiccan over Anti-Venom over Man-Thing. Man-Thing is trying to be a surprise cube stealer later. Turn 5, Anti-Venom or Man-Thing plus. Remember you have all these 2-drops. You have extra 3-drops, so on and so forth. And then turn 6, Alliath or Man-Thing plus. You don't want to play Anti-Venom, generally speaking, at the end. Man-Thing, you should know what lane he's going to be playing for the most power in, and he can steal a ton of power. If you played Wiccan, you have 8 energy that turn, which is still a ton. You can play Man Thing and Anti-Venom right there. You can play Man Thing, a 1-drop, and Rocket Groot or Luke, as the case may be. Especially Luke is especially good on that last turn if you happen to have played that Anti-Venom earlier. All of this is incredibly strong and incredibly useful. This list is very cool and one worth checking out. If you'd like to see some gameplay for these decks outside of my stream, you can check out the stream team late at night tonight. Game with Flash X will be streaming. Go check out his video. Sorry, him on Twitch. Game with Flash X, that is. We saw a really cool deck from him yesterday. Next up, this is the only deck I'm aware of at this point of recording that won an Infinity border that features Khonshu. And this is from our friend Aoi, one of the top French Marvel Snap creators. He is brilliant, and this list was able to work. I did not have massive success with this when I played this on ladder. Fair warning. This one is was not great for me. It was good for me. It performed fine, but it wasn't as good for me. However, Aoi got an Infinity border with it. Infinity borders are extremely hard to get, as you probably know if you've tried, and thus this is worth taking a look at. You can find Aoi at twitch.tv/Aoi, 5 eyes. Aoi also has a YouTube if you type in Aoi Marvel Snap. Again, you'll need to speak French, but he's a phenomenal player. This deck needs Konshu and Gore. Those are required. Konshu and Gore are cards that really go together. Fenris can be Morbius here. You don't actually need Fenris Wolf. I was not impressed with Fenris Wolf all day, to be perfectly honest. Either playing with him or against him, he just didn't feel that impactful. The first Ghost Rider can be Grandmaster or Warlock, but honestly, grind and get the first Ghost Rider, please. All right. Blade is your key discard here. It is the easiest thing to target what you're discarding with. You're trying to discard Khonshu with Blade. You'll hit Gore, White Tiger, or Iron Man as necessary. Fenris Wolf is attempting to sort of counter mirrors. You do have Moon Knight and Silver Samurai to make Fenris Wolf a little bit better, but outside of that, you're mostly countering mirrors with the card. That's why he's not that important here. Then you have the first Ghost Rider. The first Ghost Rider will basically always hit Gore or Iron Man if they're in hand, unless you've drawn rocks or something, and that's incredibly strong. Plus a 2/5 is just good stats. Moon Knight has very few targets in here. There's 2 targets you don't really want to hit with Moon Knight, Ghost Rider and Silver Samurai. I'm telling you, if I can figure out how to cut Silver Samurai, I would. Ghost Rider and Silver Samurai. There's also Fenris Wolf and first Ghost Rider you don't really want to hit. I did lose a game where I had Iron Man, Gore, and first Ghost Rider discarded, and Khonshu decided that it would be great to get back the first Ghost Rider, which is a little annoying, and Moon Knight makes that more likely. But you do need the extra ways to target Gore and Khonshu, so you just sort of deal with it. It's possible this wants Corvus, and I just didn't think of it, but whatever. Aoi didn't have it, it's his deck. Lady Sif will always hit the cards you want, Khonshu or Gore, Iron Man or White Tiger, so Lady Sif is again in all of these lists. Swordmaster can hit one of your 3s, but if you're not drawing those 3s, the only targets are Blade, Iron Man, and White Tiger. White Tiger being an 8 or 12 that makes another 8 or 12 is really, really great. So being able to discard that with Swordmaster is great. Being able to discard Iron Man Swordmaster is great. Ghost Rider is sort of a mini Khonshu there. Ghost Rider works in one lane, Khonshu works in multiple lanes. I tried to explain this in yesterday's Marvel Snap Zone article. Ghost Rider is absolutely incredible here. Sometimes you discard 2 cards, right? You Ghost Rider one back and then you Khonshu the other. You've just done the thing. Silver Samurai, again, is key discard. It's going to hit your lowest power card, and that's relatively easy to pull off, similar to the first Ghost Rider. It's annoying to pay 4 for that, but at least it has some synergy with Fenris Wolf. Iron Man is huge. Iron Man and Gore are the 2 big things to get back. If you get a 12 power Iron Man back, that's 24 power. Even if you get a 5 power Iron Man, that's 10. Same thing for Gore. Gore starts out as a -1. Starting him with power just means he grows to be insanely huge. And then finally, we have the White Tiger, who is power across lanes, which is genuinely surprising in Steel's games. You get a 8 or 12 power White Tiger that makes an 8 power Tiger. That is more power than most people are ready to deal with. And then Konshu is Konshu. We've established what he does, right? He brings stuff back, like Ghost Rider, but better. Okay, so this is an Infinity Border winner and our final deck of the day. Blade, if Konshu or Gore is turn 1. Turn 2, you want the first Ghost Rider or Blade. Turn 3, you want Sif or Swordmaster. Turn 4, Ghost Rider if you have 2 discards. And when you have 2 discards, you have Ghost Rider and Konshu. That's around when you snap. Over Samurai, which is more or less equal to a 3. Turn 5, White Tiger or Iron Man. Ghost Rider if 2 discards. And then turn 6, Konshu is better than Gore. That's it. That's the list. It's really, really simple and straightforward. Placement is hard. And again, be ready to take a lot of 50-50s with that Konshu play. But if you win those 50-50s and you snap aggressively, you should be racking up the queues with this one. Props to Owie. Congrats on the Infinity Border, my friend. Questions of the day. Our first one is from Caretaker Lee, the King questions. What card would you have liked to see come with Khonshu? I think they nailed it. It's possible Gore would be better than Scorn. I think Scorn is a more overall useful card, and Gore has been back, and Gore has this big bundle coming, so I'm happy it's Scorn, but Gore is the only card that I think could have been there that wasn't. I do think Corvus, even if he's not as dominant right now, Corvus goes so well with this card, like being able to play it on turn 5 is such a major play that I do think that the Corvus ad is absolutely brilliant and makes it worth it. I don't think they do nearly as good a job next month at releasing cards that work well with their spotlights, but they've absolutely hit it out of the park with that this month. Models asked my favorite bridge. So my favorite bridge in the world is one I don't know the name of. Growing up, my favorite bridge was always the George Washington Bridge. It's right by me. The George Washington Bridge is, I don't know where it technically is, but it sure seems like it leaves from the Bronx and goes straight to New Jersey. It's one of the biggest bridges in the world, but it's very expensive and there's always traffic on it. And as much as I love the idea, it's a very romantic bridge that connects New York to the rest of the world to me. It's not my favorite bridge. My favorite bridge is actually there's this little red bridge that when you drive upstate, uh you'll often pass. It's this just tiny red bridge. Occasionally I ask and my friends know what it is. It's not a very popular or famous bridge, but I do it's quaint and it's small and I don't know, there's something that I really enjoy about it. If you'd like to, let me know what your favorite bridge is in the comments too, friends. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. If you're interested, please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. I want to say thank you to first Absolute Shannon, our patron of the month, Abigail Gieslin, Mandatory Burnout, It Regardless, Always Kind, LAB, Inc., The Graphite Fan, I Am Frostman, Hota Navarrete, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, and Ryan Wood, The Ryans, Caretix Lee, Koire Kazushi, Archangel 3K, 4Ks, Black Dahlia, Parafros the Goatseeker, our alliance leaders, Hallowed, Nightmare, Only Fox, and Synth, reminder, you can't discard it the third time. Fat Nick, our patron of the month for April, Dirty, Casual, Filthy, Mr. Kerfuffle, sup Kerfuff, did we play today? I feel like we played today. Cables, sup Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, sup Bracco, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. Thank you for that Prime, Kenny. The Beza, Black Jeebus 23, Extras V, and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, sup Jess, this Mr. Slush Death, the King of Bros Prep, the Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kevzuhoda, Luna, Chris, Clam, Colonel Forbin, thanks Forbin, Bricks to Click, thank you Bricks to Click, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Stephen, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., and Mr. Craig Sterry, along with special guest Matt V. Real Name Town is huge. Huge. Ren, Wrench, Corbin, John Q, and Jim McHugh, it's cute down. Yes, Stout. Eighth Sage, one big man. Milkman for reals. My favorite Foley. Cactus Jack. BG. Quid Pro Joe. What's up, Joe? Snap Decisions Joe. Mod Supreme. Models. Green Goblin. Unibot. Flan 56. Lee. Fuzzy Lump. Spectrumix. Hoot. Mr. Ocularis. What's up, Ocu? Thanks for hanging. Matt H. DJ. Mikey. Hijinks. No frickin' flex. Nick. Duh. Greek Geek. Zadrex. The King of Canada. Canada. 10-Man Falcon. Thorn Newman. Jonesy. Two Ties. The Great Laura does. The Pirate King Tucker. And of course, Kenny T. Where the T stands for. 2 videos tomorrow. I'll see you for that. Don't forget top player thoughts then too. And today's stream at 3:15. Peace.